they really have been active for our elections over time. Well, more figures coming up at you. Even in 2014, in Ekiti, they have 1 AIG, 4 police commissioners, 12,000 troops, and then in Osun, you also have that figure. So they've been involved, security agencies, all working together to ensure that things go on properly. Let me get back to the studio now and get the views of Mr. Tokunbo Wahab, a member of the APC, on what he thinks of all of these figures. Well, let's get your response. First of all, yes, you had the SAN and Mr. Oshutokun speak on this matter.
Let me start with Mr. Oshutokun's position. I'm surprised that Mr. Oshutokun will be advocating for a total disobedience of a subsisting court order. By so doing, they are cherry picking. This same order of the Court of Appeal affirmed the election of Mr. Ayofayoshe and then said, however, you can't deploy soldiers for election matters. Now, they are trying to pick one and drop the other.
No, but because I see I kind of also asking, does the military conduct election or just provide logistics support and security far from the polling booth?
From the experience of Ekiti and Osun, it's safe to say now that military personnel are now being brought into democratic space, locking down the opposition, making arrests, and that was what happened in Osun and Ekiti. With due respect, the tape in question revealed that, how they had to arrest the DG of Dr. Fayemi's campaign. And for some of us at this side of the divide, our take is this. If you have a democratic process in place, and you have a constitution that allows for 3 arms of government, if there's a subsisting court order, the government and PDP knows what to do. You can appeal and say, you know what, stay this position for this and this and these reasons. And the way he went about the argument to the extent that we assume there will be violence, we assume there will be breakdown of law and order, that is an assumption.
Let me get
Let the police perform its duties. And if peradventure there are 1 or 2 skirmishes, you cannot deploy. Your deployment, by the way, and we do refer to the SAN, we can't read 218 in isolation of 217.
Okay, I'll come to that. Let me first of all get Mr. Oshutokun's response on this one. Are you in any way being misconstrued on this one? Are you advocating a total disregard of the court judgment, Mr. Oshutokun?
In any case, that's not a court of last resort anyway. So nobody knows, as the Supreme Court has not pronounced on it, so the judgment can be controverted. But having said that, look, any other Nigerian, that Mr. President, you are speaking from the position of inadequate information as far as the security of Nigeria is concerned. Its primary responsibility is to preserve the constitutional order and integrity of this nation. If from report, it gets reports that there is a potential situation of violence that disrupts the state, that leads to anarchy, it can enter the purpose. For instance, you can declare a state of emergency. If you find a situation in which your regular forces are being overwhelmed, they can no longer, then of course there is a reinforcement. Now listen, like Shembale, I was driving from Akure to Abuja one day like this. There was a case of armed robbery, a very sophisticated set of armed robbery. The policemen the first set of policemen who went there, they were overwhelmed. They turned back. Another set came, about 10 of them. Similarly, they were overwhelmed by superior firepower. It took the involvement, the intervention of the 33 Army Brigade or something in Akure for them to clear the road that day. We were held up for 3 hours on the road. Will any responsible government say because you now tie your own hands and allow anarchy to happen? I mean, look, the way people, you see, this is typical APC. And they're the typical anarchical and hypocritical attitude to serious issues of responsibility.
Mr. Oshutokun, I think there are 2 things here. I hope I understand Mr. Tokunbo's point properly. In fact, even the one that the head of the National Human Rights Commission raised, 2 things pop up there. Deployments of troops or the partisan use of the armed forces is different from restoring law and order. Two
you are the one
things.
qualifying as a partisan. The president, this president is the president of the country, not the president of PDP. He's the chief security officer of the nation.
No,
So
I'm quoting Professor. I'm quoting Professor Denkalo, who says, "Just a minute, Mr. Oshitokun. Can you hear me?"
This is the kind of presumption that simply, you know.
Let me get this in so you can respond to it quickly. I'm quoting Professor Chidi Odenkalo, who says we should differentiate from those two things. What he thinks that they should be talking about.
It's not for me. You differentiate that according to your convenience. You know, what is partisan use of military? Of course, it's objectionable to use army in a partisan manner. Was that what the president was doing? If that, I mean, I just don't. I mean,
no, he didn't say that is what the president is doing. He said there should be a distinction.
The elections that were conducted in the state, there was a model of peacefulness. So I really don't know what. And in any law is not. You do not give a law to suit the purpose of any party or anything like that.
Okay, just give us a moment. Let's get to the
northeastern part of the country.
Let me get to Mr. Akpede to get a response to this. Mr. Akpede, we had Mr. Wahab just talk about section 217 and 218. Maybe trying to say you can't build something and nothing. He says you have to read section 217 even before you go to 218.
Well, my quick response to you is that you see that 217 is disjunctive to 218. They stand on their own. And the lawmakers that crafted both laws were very clear as to how both of them will operate. 217 is indicated. If you read 217 2C very clearly, it says the military forces will only be used as an aid to civil authorities where the president thinks the breakdown of law and order in a civil society. But that must be based on the conditions set up as prescribed by the National Assembly.